back to TCI, your inside track to the Triple Crown. I'm John Siegel alongside Joel Cunningham. We have made it. Kentucky Derby 138. Joel, let me start the show off by saying you look mighty nice in that tie.
Well, thank you, man. And we got the mint juleps on the set here. Notice they're full still, so don't worry. Our picks haven't been altered and our analysis hasn't been altered by the mint juleps yet, but they certainly look tasty on the set.
Well, let's bring on Ed DeRosa before his picks get altered. He's our resident handicapper. He's from Brisnet.com. Hey, Ed, no pressure, man. It's just the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, it's been a fun road leading up to this point, and two very big races Friday and Saturday. I'm really excited.
All right, man. Kentucky Derby 138. You're the handicapper. Tell us, how is Kentucky Derby 138 won?
Well, the one thing I decided to go with in terms of an on-top pick is who the pace will benefit the most with Trinniberg in there. And I just keep going back to Hansen and his run in the Gotham and what he showed in there. I think we could see in the Derby. I like the reports from Churchill trackside about his workout. Sounds like he's on the muscle now that he's actually at Churchill. I think this is Ramon's year. I love the fun Dr. Hansen's been having. Sort of from a horse racing standpoint, I think he'd be the most fun to go onto the Preakness with. So he's who my on-top selection is and who I'll definitely be rooting for.
So Ed's going with the Great White Hope. Ed, give me three horses that you're going to be looking at to play underneath him.
I'll have another Creative Cause and Rousing Sermon.
Well, Ed, I got to ask you, last question. Oaks Derby Devils, a bet I always love. This year, it's really a bet I'm going to be looking at because the Oaks and the Derby are so contentious. How will you be playing that?
I'm definitely going to key Summer Applause. I like her to win the Oaks at the price she'll be more than I like any single horse to win the Derby. So I'm going to hope to get her home in the Oaks mostly and then spread in the Derby with the four horses we mentioned, Hansen and the three underneath. And I'd also like to get live to Union Rags and take charge Indy.
All right, Ed, thanks for your help, man. Good luck in the Derby, and we hope to see you out there Saturday.
I appreciate it. Same to you guys. It's going to be a great day.
All right, Joel. So no surprise here. Looks like Ed DeRosa will not be wearing his gemologist hat at the Kentucky Derby.
No, and I thought he'd go with I'll Have Another, but he goes back to Hansen, a horse he's liked all year.
All right, let's get into this Kentucky Derby, Joel. Tell me, what do you see the key in Kentucky Derby 138?
Well, John, in terms of going into the first turn, the key for me is really on the inside. You know, I really thought that most of the top contenders in here drew pretty well. But for a horse like Union Rags and a horse like Bodemeister, now Bodemeister has more natural speed to sort of make his race. And I like the fact that he has a closer both breaking on his inside and his outside. So I think that's going to allow him the room as he breaks out of the gate to kind of create his own type of race with the tactical speed he has. The question for Bodemeister will be, you know, if Trinniberg outfoots him to the first turn, which he probably will he be able to get out and around Trinniberg with Hansen converging from the outside? But I think a big key, John, in that first turn, I look at Take Charge Indy in the 3-hole, Union Rags in the 4-hole, and I look at Creative Cause to the outside of them as well, all drawn inside. All have tactical speed. We know Mike Matz said, look, if I think I've got a good horse and I draw inside, this horse is going to have to be more aggressive early. So I see Julian on Union Rags breaking out of the gate, Calvin right next to him, breaking aggressively, another horse with good tactical speed, and Creative Cause. I really see all of them sort of breaking out and following Bodemeister in the first turn, and I really think it's important the position these three horses that I mentioned get going into that first turn and how they settle, and if they can get a clean trip going into the first turn onto the backstretch.
All right, now we see gemologist, Joel. He gets the 15 post in here. Todd Pletcher very happy with that. I think it's because he's such a big horse. He's glad he's going to have a little bit of space to work with when they come out of the gate.
Everything's gone right for gemologist. He looks fantastic, and he's undefeated, John. They had to love that draw. I mean, 15 post, you know, you're the first one in the auxiliary gate there, so you have a little room for error when you break out of the gate, and he has Hansen, a fast horse, breaking inside of him. That's going to be such a good visual mark for Javier Castellano. He's going to be able to watch Hansen, the white horse, and just follow him all the way to the first turn and sit off of him. I think it's going to be a great visual gauge for Javier Castellano, and I expect gemologist to be settling maybe in that second flight as Hansen is kind of his guide as they go into the first turn.
All right, this is the key for me of the whole Kentucky Derby, Joel. It's going to be the three-quarter split. You heard Ed say he thinks it's going to be right at 111. Tell me, do you think it'll be faster than that?
You know what? Ed thinks it's going to be 111, 112. I think it's going to be quicker than that. And time's relative. You never know how tuned up the track is going to be, but I just think there's too too many brilliant horses in this race, John, for them not to go faster than that. And I think it's a quality group. Anytime you have quality, you're going to have a faster pace because the horses are just better. They're just faster. So I really think I'm expecting 110 and change depending on the track plays. And I really would not be surprised if they went 110 and 1, 110 and 2 in here early, which is going to set it up for horses coming from off the pace.
All right, so we're set up now. We got horses coming off the pace. Who do you see crossing the finish line first?
Well, I talked about that battle on the inside being so important for position, John. Union Rags, Take Charge Indy, and Creative Cause. Who's going to get the cleanest trip? Inside there in that second flight, who's going to get the best trip? Union Rags makes me very nervous in the fact that he hasn't displayed the killer instinct yet, John. And I just look at this colt, and he's so big. He's such a big colt. He's 17 hands. I wonder how nimble he is from the inside, being able to navigate through traffic. You know what? I think Take Charge Indy has a little more tactical speed, and Calvin's going to obviously go for that rail, John. So I think he's dangerous. But I keep going back to Creative Cause here. You know, I go back, and you look at how good this 3-0 group is. I go back to that Breeders' Cup Juvenile and how good it was.
Right.
You go rewatch that race at Churchill several times. I know it's at a mile and 16th. I know they were 2-year-olds, but I just really think that form is going to hold on. Creative Cause, to me, was a little green the last 16th of a mile, but he has enough tactical speed that if they can make first run and if Bodemeister and Hansen can take the starch out of one another, I really think Creative Cause has a tactical speed to get the trip he needs. Now, he is a grinder. He is a grinder, John. That's my only concern about him, but I think he's a fighter too. He's going to fight to the wire, and he's always right there. So at a big price, I just think over Union Rags, it was a really toss-up for me. Union Rags, Creative Cause. I'm going with Creative Cause because I think he's a smaller, nimble horse, and I really think that Breeders' Cup Juvenile and the way all these 3-0 preps have sort of played to form this year, as good as this group is, I really think that you need to handicap this race based on the form coming into it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're setting up. Those are the first three finishers. You got Hansen and you got Union Rags and then Creative Cause. They ran 1, 2, 3 in the Breeders' Cup. You're seeing that same stretch run here at the Derby.
John, if I had to box 5 horses, it'd be Take Charge Indy because of the Calvin factor on the rail, especially if the track's playing well. The horse looked fantastic. Union Rags and Creative Cause are my win options. I think Bodemeister could be a freak, so I think you have to play him, John. And the other horse I would throw in there is Gemologist.
Yeah.
You know, here's a horse that just looks too good. He's built for the classic distances. Those would be the 5 that I would box in exactas and trifectas. I really think that combination of 5 is where your outcome in this Derby is going to come from. How about you?
I'll tell you what. I've been thinking a lot about this. I'm going to stick with my gut. I told you before I thought it was going to be, you know, a horse in the second flight. I'm going with Gemologist. I think Creative Cause, I really believe in my gut. Creative Cause is not going to handle the crowd. I really see Gemologist coming from that second flight. So I'm giving it to Gemologist.
John, I think that's a fantastic pick. I certainly couldn't knock it. He has no holes in his resume right now. Gemologist is a great pick. You know what? This is going to be such a good Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
I mean, really strap your seatbelt in for Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. I really think we could see history. It's such a good group, and I'm anticipating a big race.
Hey, make sure you come back on Monday. We'll recap Kentucky Derby 138 for you. Joel, it's been a
man.
lot of fun.
Hey,
Here's
brother.
to a healthy and happy Kentucky Derby.
Cheers to you.